Alright, I don't know what the title of this video is yet at the time of filming, but probably something such that you could tell things are changing. It's going to be a pretty big shift. If you don't want to listen to the entire discussion, Cliff's Notes, I guess. I'm not going to be spending nearly as much time in Vegas in the coming years. Lately, it's been like I get here mid-January. Actually, the year I started the channel, I started it in March of 22. In January of 22, I got here instantly. I stayed in my parents' house in New York for New Year's Day and then left right away. Like, that's how badly I wanted to get to Vegas and start playing poker. On the night of the 2nd, I was in Tennessee. On the night of the 3rd, I was in Oklahoma City. And that's a long drive in from Vegas, but on the 4th, I made it the whole way. I think it was technically past midnight. It's such a long drive from Oklahoma City. But I got in after a really long drive from Oklahoma City to Vegas, parked at Bally's. And for those of you who are gonna fall down, at the time it was called Bally's, parked at Bally's, went down and played. I was exhausted, but I played till I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. Technically just after midnight, local time, January 5th. And yeah, I left in December. And then even last year, I got here in January and left in December. And this year, I think I drove into town January 21st. It's not going to be January to December anymore, which is pretty much the whole year. There are one-day trips, there are weekend trips, there are, you know, even some 6-week trips during the summer. It's not going to be that anymore. Just the bad things about Vegas poker are outweighing the good things about living in the city. I've said for the life of the channel, I really like living in the city, and I still do. I would prefer, if I were going to take 5 days off, I would prefer to stay in a 1-bed room in Harrah's and pay $100 for the 5 nights rather than have an entire 5,000 square foot house to myself on like Miami Beach or something. I just like being on the Strip. I like being in Vegas. I like living in casino hotels. But it's like, it's tipping. It used to be that like there were things I liked about living in Vegas and things I didn't like, but if you combined them, I still liked it more. And it's like the things I like are getting like a little worse, and the things I dislike keep getting worse and worse. Like the value of the dislike is increasing, and now it's getting to the point where it's not that I hate the city and absolutely hate poker here, but I'm not going to be here as much as I was. It'll probably be about 5 months maybe, and maybe like 3 of them include play. My plan so far, because I was thinking in like May and June about 2025. And I was thinking like, what's the latest I could get into town that makes sense? And March Madness. I still love that weekend. So does my Kansas friend. He was here in 22 that week. He was here last year. This year he couldn't be here, but like every year we plan on it. So still going to be here for March Madness, that first weekend, that Thursday through Sunday. And then shortly after that is paperwork for the summer position. I don't know. My guess would be that I don't need to audition again at Orleans, but I'm not sure. And even if I don't, I guess there's paperwork and I have to get my uniform and everything. So early April, that's when that stuff goes on. And then late May through mid-July, I would be dealing. And then even though it is very low traffic, the end of July and all of August, still like it. And the heat doesn't bother me. I walked along the Strip to change casinos when it was like 118 one day. That's fine. So it's probably like mid-March through late August is what it's looking like. The thing is, except for like 2, every change that's happening in the Vegas poker landscape is something that I don't like. I'm going to say what the things are, but I'll preface all of this by saying that not everyone looks for the same thing when they go to play poker. That was actually worded very well. There was a guy, I don't even remember if I gave him a shout out. He was at a table I was dealing at Orleans, and he's seen the videos, and he was playing a lot of Bell 510 and MGM 2.5 while he was here when he wasn't playing tournaments. And he said, you know, we don't look for the same things when we go to play poker, but like I still find the videos interesting. Yeah, that's fine. I say what I'm looking for and things that I like and things that I dislike, and not everyone looks for the same things. Some people love playing in silence. I don't. Some people really want to play four-handed. I don't. So these are things that are bothering me. They might not bother you. They might make Vegas poker, it might make Vegas poker more attractive to you. But the two things that were good since I got here in June 21, Mandalay reopened after Corona. We weren't sure about that. And it wasn't just a matter of like staffing. They emptied the room. Like if you remember those videos where I would film near the old poker room in Rio, all the chairs and tables were still there. It's like they shut things down, but didn't actually move any furniture. Mandalay removed all the furniture, which is like quite the hassle to move everything back and like hook up stuff. They actually didn't hook up that much. The shufflers worked, but they never hooked up Bravo. So you had to sign in at the desk, which, you know, no big deal, but they didn't just like staff and schedule people. They moved all those tables back, which was like a big hassle for a room that only gets like 2 tables going most days. We didn't think it was going to reopen. It did. That was awesome. And Resorts World, the casino in general, opened right in late 21. I remember playing there a couple times before I left in 21. And it has poker, so that's good. And in that same vein, we think when Mirage officially becomes Hard Rock, it'll have poker. Don't know when that's going to happen, because in January 2023, I was in Mirage, and a woman at the rewards desk said on December 12th, 2023, overnight, Mirage was becoming Hard Rock. That wasn't close to true. It took like another 8 months just for Mirage to shut down, and now it's going to be years until Hard Rock opens. So no idea what the timeline's going to be, but it'll probably have poker when it opens. So those are the two to three like positives as far as I'm concerned. The bad things, back to Mandalay. Mandalay changed from 9-handed to 8-handed, which is so odd for a room that doesn't get many tables going. Like in the last few years, Borgata in Atlantic City has gone from 10-handed to 9 to 8, which I prefer more people at the table. Not a huge deal in a city where people actually go to the poker room to play. In Vegas, a lot of people go to the poker room to like put their chips down, play 5 minutes, and then take a 45-minute break. So I really want as many seats as possible at a Vegas table. Borgata, I mean, if there's 8 chairs at the table, you're probably going to be playing 8-handed most of the night. So it's not that bad. And Borgata also has a massive amount of tables. Mandalay often gets like 2 games. So like to go from 9-handed to 8-handed, you're not like downsizing in a way that gets you an extra table. Like maybe you thought, oh, if we're 8-handed instead of 9, well, instead of like 7 tables, we'll run 8 tables every day. Like that's a thought, but you're not moving from 2 tables to 3 tables by taking away 1 chair at each table. That's odd. And it was annoying if you were ever the 17th or 18th person to show up at the beginning of the day. Instead of getting to play, you had to wait. Some people didn't like to wait and they just left, and those people weren't in the player pool at Mandalay anymore. So that was odd. I don't like that MGM went uncapped. It often at the table actually doesn't make a huge difference, and I even enjoyed it. I remember a few times sitting with like the typical 300 and then seeing a few deep players who were not very good and just like getting a stack of green, like an extra 500, so I could cover everybody, and it working out exactly how I planned a few times. But that's like specifically for me, for the good of the player pool, it's pretty bad. If you're on table 5 or 11, those are the 2 tables closest to the podium, right on that walkway. And MGM, I think, is the best location in a casino. You get a ton of foot traffic where MGM is located. It happens a lot that you see someone walk up, someone who just passed by, is thinking about playing, asks the floor, what's the minimum? Floor says 100. Asks, what's the maximum? When the floor says uncap, it's palpable how nervous they are. You could hear it in their voice. They pause. You could see it on their face. Some people just walk away after hearing uncapped. Some people still buy in for like the 200, 300 that they were planning on, but you could just see that they're like instantly uneasy and they're like really anxious once they sit down to play. I really don't like that MGM went uncapped. For similar reasons and some different reasons, I don't like that Aria 1.3 went to max 500. I don't like that Bally's has the new room. I absolutely loved the temp room. It was my second favorite poker room all time. I even prefer the old room to the new room. I don't like that Venetian moved to the second floor of the mall near Palazzo. Caesar's Palace has closed, and it's debatable whether it's ever gonna reopen or not. Also, Red Rock and Sahara used to be 1-2. The big blind used to be 2, now it's 3. I don't play Red Rock to have enough of an opinion in the moment, although I know someone who says it's way better, who plays there fairly regularly. I do play at Sahara. In the moment, and I'll explain what that means in a second, it doesn't really make a difference. Like, some games you need a lot of dead money in there for people to call large raises pre-flop. Sahara never needed that. You know, small blind 1, big blind 2. I mean, you could open to 25 and get calls throughout the night. You don't need a lot of dead money in there. You don't need people posting. You don't need a straddle. You don't need people limping for $3 instead of 2. So I don't think it makes a difference at Sahara. The thing I'm worried about, though, is like the lowest stakes games getting phased out and it going back to like 2005 when 2-5 no limit was the lowest stake you could find. I'm not thrilled about that because there's not a lot of 1-2 left. There's MGM, there's Westgate, South Point, which it's like too far, I don't really play there. Boulder Station, which I'm now aware of. I knew it would run no limit. I've never played no limit there, just those 2 Omaha high fixed limit sessions from a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I'm worried about the lowest stakes just getting phased out. There's a lot of changes happening, and it sounds like the people who are in charge of making the decisions are like listening to the smallest portion of the player pool, just because that smallest portion is local and very loud, and they're not really thinking about the like long-term player pool. And it's not that I absolutely will never play poker in Vegas again, it's just enough has happened that I'm not gonna get here in January and stay till December. It'll probably be mid-March through end of August. I could even see it being like mid-March through end of July, and a chunk of that will be an occasional week off, and a chunk of that will be dealing the Orleans series. So just letting everyone know a shift is coming. Oh, and I guess I'll end it by saying that I'm telling you this because my time in Vegas is coming to an end. A lot of people, for 2024, a lot of people in the comments, they tell me when they're going to be in town in like October or November. They hope to meet me. It would be nice to meet you guys. I'm not going to be here in September, nor October, nor November, nor December. I'm going to Council Bluffs next. I have a few ideas for like 1 or 2 night stops on the road, and a few ideas for some long-term stops besides Council Bluffs. Council Bluffs is definitely a long-term stop. I have ideas for 2 more, although nothing is booked. I was thinking about my 2025, and when I eventually like thought enough and got to the point where it's like, okay, in 2025, I'm not getting here in January, leaving in December. It'll probably be like mid-March through end of August. Then it hit me a few days later. Well, the first half of this year is done, but I don't need to stay here through December for the remainder of 2024. I could leave and you know, start that leave after the end of August thing right now in 2024 instead of around this time next year in 2025. So yeah, really enjoyed living in Vegas, really enjoyed living on the Strip, enjoyed living in Harrah's and Bally's and Excalibur and Flamingo, and taking the monorail, and days off or days I'm playing, really enjoyed living on the Strip, and love the energy, you know, when the Knights are playing. See a ton of people in hockey jerseys. There's a lot of energy, especially in MGM because it's so close to the stadium, and March Madness, and a lot of things I like. I was here Super Bowl weekend. A lot of things I like about Vegas, but the things I like are disappearing a little, and the things I dislike are growing a little. And I'm gonna leave end of August, get to Council Bluffs, and when I know what is set in stone after that, I will tell everybody. But just let you know, August was fun. You know, had the trip to Arizona, had the trip to San Diego, the 2-5 challenge. enjoyed dealing the summer at Orleans, and that ended, and I was still here for like another 6 weeks or so, but my time in Vegas for 2024 is done. I will see everybody in Council Bluffs. And remember, rice is a spoon food.